Good evening and welcome to the January 12, 2022 annual and regular governing board meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Sylvan, if you could please read the roll.
Ms. Ripley?
Here.
Ms. Garcia?
Ms. Garcia, we didn't hear you, unfortunately. Oh, now
I think you're still muted.
Okay, there's something wrong with your audio where we can just barely hear you. So I'm not sure if you're speaking into a microphone or.
Now?
Yes.
Oh, that's much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Hay?
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Here.
Mr. Klinko?
Here.
All board members are present.
Okay, thank you very much. The first item is our new business, election of governing board officers. According to Article 4 of the board bylaws, officers shall be selected and elected by the members of the governing board. The board shall conduct this election at the annual meeting as specified in Article 6, Section 3 of the bylaws. The specific officers to be elected for a 2-year term are the chairperson and vice chair secretary. So before we discuss the candidates of the board officer position, I'd like to address a procedural matter, specifically to avoid the challenges caused by changing officers partway through this virtual meeting, and so that the new officers have time to prepare. I would move that the new officer assume the responsibility at the close of today's regular meeting. Is there a second?
So moved.
Yeah, okay. Discussion. Is there any discussion?
I don't think that's a wise idea.
Okay.
And that we've never done that in the past.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on the matter? Okay. Mr. Sullivan, if you could do a roll call vote, please.
Yes. Ms. Ripley?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
No.
Dr. Hay?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
No.
Mr. Klinko?
Yes. So the motion passes 3-2 with board member Garcia and Gonzalez dissenting. The next item is the opening the floor for nominations. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for nominations. And I will begin by offering a nomination for Ms. Ripley as the chair of the board. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Yes. I nominate Luis Gonzalez for chair.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. Are there any additional nominations? Okay. So hearing no other nominations, we'll close the nominations and then we'll ask Mr. Sylvan to read the roll and please specify who you are voting for.
Wait a minute.
Yes, Ms. Garcia.
Can we have a discussion first?
We are simply voting. So
Well,
I mean,
can I
we
make
take
a
a
statement?
Mr. Sylvan, is that within the parameters of this type of, because we didn't do a sort of a, let's go ahead and have a discussion. So go ahead.
We didn't, but I mean, I think it's certainly appropriate and permissible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Garcia, please go ahead.
Okay. So I nominate Luis Gonzalez to be chair of the governing board. He was elected to the Board of Governors in November of 2018 and sworn into office on 2019. As has been stated many times, Pima College was built on Native land. To my knowledge, a Native American has never been board chair. It would reflect well on the board and college if we would elect a Native American to serve as board chair. This would be the first time in 50 years plus history and would demonstrate our commitment to diversity and inclusion. He is a senior member of the board and has served for 3 years.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Garcia. Is there any additional discussion? Okay. Mr. Sylvan, if you could please call the roll. And so to be clear, each member will state who they are voting for of the 2 nominated members.
Ms. Ripley?
Catherine Ripley.
Ms. Garcia,
Luis Gonzalez,
Dr. Hay,
Catherine Ripley.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Luis Gonzalez.
Mr. Klinko.
Catherine Ripley. So Catherine Ripley is elected president of the Pima Community College Governing Board for the next 2-year term. Next, at this time, I'd like to open the floor to nominations for the vice chair, and I will begin by nominating myself as vice chair of the board. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Are there any additional nominations?
I nominate myself.
Okay.
I
is there
second
a
it.
Second to the nomination. Okay. Are there any discussions?
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Garcia, please.
Okay. This board has not, we always talk about diversity and inclusion. And yet for the last 4 years, Mr. Klinko, you have been chair. And then we bring in a person, you assign a person basically to be chair that has been with a college less than 4 years. I don't think that that speaks very well for the college on diversity, nor allowing the minorities or our constituents to be represented on this board. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Is there any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the discussion. Mr. Sylvan, if you could please read the roll.
Ms. Ripley,
I vote for Mr. Klinko.
Ms. Garcia,
Luis,
Luis Gonzalez,
yes.
Dr. Hay,
Mr. Klinko.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Gonzalez.
and Mr. Klinko.
I will vote for Mr. Klinko, myself. So I have been duly elected as Vice Chair and Secretary of the Governing Board. And that concludes this item. Our next item on the agenda is the election of the Arizona Association of Community College Trustee Representative for 2022. Is there just by way of background, the Association of Community College Trustees is one of 3 organizations with assist the coordination of the Arizona community colleges to promote the joint vision of providing board access to higher quality education and training so that Arizonans can achieve post-secondary education and training goals, complete a degree and certificate and/or transfer to universities. The other 2, Arizona Community College Council and the Arizona Community College President's Council, are the other 2 organizations. All of the Arizona community colleges are members of the AACCT. And for the last year, I have served and am currently serving as the president of the AACT, and would certainly be willing to continue in that role if someone on the board felt that that was appropriate and made a motion to the effect.
I nominate Mr. Klinko.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate myself.
Is there a second from Ms. Garcia's nomination?
I second Mark Garcia.
Okay. Are there any additional nominations? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the nominations. And Mr. Sylvan, if you could please do a roll call.
Ms. Ripley,
Mr. Klinko.
Ms. Garcia,
Myself,
Dr. Hay,
Mr. Klinko.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Ms. Garcia.
Mr. Klinko.
Mr. Klinko. So on a vote of 3 to 2, Mr. Klinko and I have been elected as the representative to the AACCT. The next item is the election of advisory
Oh,
committee.
excuse me.
Yes,
Point
yes,
of order, Mr. Chair.
yes.
There's actually an alternate who should be
Oh.
elected for the ACCT.
Okay, so is there any, so we will do a separate call for alternates.
I nominate
Um,
Ms. Ripley.
I will second that. Is there
Nominate
any?
myself.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez has nominated himself. Is
I
there a
second it.
Okay, is there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the nominations. Mr. Sylvan, if you could do a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Ripley,
I vote for myself.
Ms. Garcia,
I vote for Luis.
Dr. Hay,
I vote for Ms. Ripley.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Vote for myself.
and Mr. Klinko.
I vote for Ms. Ripley. So on a vote of 3-2, Ms. Ripley has been elected as the alternate to the AACCT board. The next item on the agenda is the election of advisory board representatives. We have traditionally 2 members of the board who serve each on the Human Resources Advisory Committee and the Finance and Audit Committee. The Chancellor recommends that the governing board appoint 2 members to each of the board's advisory committees, as has stood before. And so traditionally, I mean, if we go around the room, Ms. Garcia and I have both served on the Audit and Finance Committee, and Ms. Ripley and Mr. Gonzalez have serving on the Human Resources Advisory Committee. And Dr. Hay has not had the pleasure of serving on a committee. So I wanted to find out first, is everybody willing to continue on in their service on these particular roles? Or does somebody want to serve on a different board? I just want to, because what I could do is I could offer a slate that we just continue the current composition, or we could, why don't I do that? I'll offer the slate, then we can have a discussion, and if people would like to serve in a different role, then we can talk about that. How about that?
So, Mr. Chair, just a sort of a point of order, if you just indulge me for a second.
Of course, Mr. Silverman.
Thank you, sir. There is an agenda item later tonight for the creation of a new advisory committee that had been suggested by board members. So of course, it hasn't been approved yet, so we can't appoint members, but I just thought it might be worth noting for your discussion purposes that there are, assuming the board approves it, going to be 2 additional opportunities to serve on a committee.
And that wouldn't preclude anybody from continuing to participate. Board members could participate on 2 committees. It doesn't.
Yes, absolutely.
Participation on one does not exclude participation on a second.
That's correct.
Commitment from the individual board member.
That's correct. I just thought as board members think about their time commitments and what their greater interests are, it's just worth taking into consideration that there is another committee being proposed for establishment later this evening.
And so just to be clear, once we would propose this new committee, and then we would vote members on at the next meeting.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that the 2 committees, the Human Resources Committee and the Finance and Audit Committee, continue with the current member composition.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, second from Dr. Hay. Discussion? Is there any discussion, or does anybody have concerns or want to change? Okay, I don't hear any, and I don't see any marks. Okay, so hearing no more discussion, Mr. Sylvan, if you could do a roll call vote, please.
So just to clarify, since there's only one motion on the floor, if you could just indicate whether you vote in favor of or against the motion, please. Ms. Ripley,
Yes, in favor.
yes or in favor? Any positive sign is fine. Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Dr. Hay,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Klinko.
Yes. So the motion unanimously passes, and the composition of the members will continue on the subcommittees, board advisory subcommittees. Okay. So I think we'll just take a 5-minute recess, and we'll reconvene at 4 minutes. 5:55. We'll just take a short recess.
I knew that was gonna go like that.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting back to order, and I'll just give everybody a minute to reconvene on the line. Okay. Okay, it looks like the board is back. We will go ahead and reconvene to our open session regular meeting. Ms. Garcia? We'll just take a moment. Looks like one of our board members. Okay. Okay, it looks like that's okay. Just wanted to make sure all the board was here. So we're going to reconvene to our open regular meeting. The first item on our agenda is the public comment and call to the audience. The Pima Community College Governing Board welcomes public comment on issues within the jurisdiction of the college. Generally, the total time for the public comment will be limited to 45 minutes and comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. These time limits may be modified by the board chair or board. Individuals sharing comments are expected to communicate with decorum and respect. Individuals who engage in disorderly conduct or use divisive or insulting language may have their time reduced or concluded by the board chair. At the conclusion of public comment, individual board members may respond to criticism made by those who address the board, may ask for staff to review a matter, or may ask the matter be put on a future agenda. Members of the board, however, may not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during public comment unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Finally, please be advised that internal college processes are available for students and employees for communication. And so I just want to remind everybody for the public comment, please try very hard to get in ahead of time. It makes it much more difficult when the requests are coming in after the deadline. But we do have two requests today for public comment. So the first is Michaela. Hey,
Good evening.
Michaela?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Terrific.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, I did register actually last week. I just was also going to present and I think I used the wrong link. So I was just checking that I was in the correct link.
I'm glad that we're able to get you on. So please
Okay,
go ahead.
thank you.
3 minutes. Yeah, no problem.
So good evening, Chair Klinko, Chancellor, board members, colleagues, and guests. My name is Michaela Hayes and I'm the PCCEA president. Happy New Year. I'd love to start off this year with some messages of thanks. PCCA would like to say thank you to Chancellor Lambert, Provost Dolores Duran-Cerda, Chief Human Resource Officer Carlene Thompson, and members from STAR for meeting to hear concerns from the faculty this past December. At this meeting, I was able to present the concerns of over 100 full-time faculty gathered through a quick survey and presented with responses organized by topic. I think the conversation we had was a good start, and I look forward to collaboration on solutions and responses to the concerns brought forward. We would also like to thank Provost Dolores Duran-Cerda for setting up meetings with the AERC faculty team this coming semester. Having a set time and space to discuss policy-related topics directly will be helpful, and I look forward to what we can accomplish this year. I wanted to also thank the Provost and the Chancellor both for your messages at All Faculty Day. I think you are right on track with wanting to build more trust, and PCCA wants to do the same. PCCA appreciated Dr. David B. coming to the AERC to discuss budget and expenditure trends this past November. I believe that conversation was a good start and allowed employees to express some honest concerns directly. We do hope to hear back on answers to the remaining questions sent forward by the AERC that we did not have time for in that session, and look forward to more conversations like this in the spring about next year's budget. Along those lines, after watching the board study session in December regarding the budget, PCCEA has some additional perspectives we would like to share on the information that was presented. We will be pulling together more details that we would like the board to consider as you look at the budget, and we'll be following up with the board and administration later this month with that information. I would also like to thank Dr. B for joining the Faculty Steering Committee for the class and comp discussions. The last few months, the meetings have definitely had a different feel in the conversations, and while we are still waiting to see some concrete outcomes, there's definitely more of a feeling of collaboration in the process than we had before. And last, we would like to thank you, the board, for putting in your time to make the best decisions you can for our students and the employees of the college. We know you're not compensated, and yet you have such a large responsibility. So thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate the comment. Next, we have our acting chief, Michelle Newmanhouse. Chief Newhouse.
Thank you, Chairperson Klinko. I'd like to welcome everybody back. Happy New Year. I hope we are all remaining healthy or are on the road to getting healthy. I'm Michelle Neuenhuis, the Acting Chief of Police for the College Police Department. For the last several years, the Pima College Police Department has been the recipient of grant funding through the Governor's Office of Highway Safety to conduct targeted traffic enforcement in the areas of bicycle and pedestrian safety, as well as DUI deployments. Our efforts are critically important in helping battle the trend of high pedestrian and bicycle fatalities on Tucson streets, as well as impaired driving. We focus our efforts around our campuses to impact those that are closest to us and accessing our college facilities. We were not able to participate this year until our grants were signed and returned to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety in Phoenix. Our grant period started October 1st. The board graciously agreed to entertain the approval of these grants during a November 29th study session, which enabled us to conduct enforcement efforts during the month of December and over the holiday period. I'd like to thank the board, the Office of General Counsel, the Office of Finance and Administration, and the Grants Office staff for facilitating the approval of these grants ahead of the January board meeting. The holiday period between Thanksgiving and the New Year are notoriously dangerous times on Arizona's roadways, where we see an increase in crashes and fatalities. Our ability to participate and cooperate with our local agency partners contributed to safer Tucson streets and roadways this past holiday season. I would also like to thank Sergeant Josh Bloom for coordinating and leading our participation in these efforts, and the officers who joined him, as well as Emelina Ormsby and Charlie McConnell for their assistance with our grant reporting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Chief Neuenhuis. We really appreciate all of the work you're doing, and thank you for bringing that opportunity forward and all the work you did to keep our community safe during the holidays. Next, we have our remarks by the governing board members. We have 20 minutes set aside for this item, and we'll go ahead and start with Ms. Garcia. Ms. Garcia, your microphone is off. Still off. Why don't we come back to you? So Ms. Ripley?
Okay.
Oh, no, it's on now. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so I welcome everybody back and hope that we have a good year and hope that everybody stays safe and healthy. And then with that, I'd like to just make a small statement. As a member of this board, it is quite obvious that this board is not willing to give minorities an opportunity to lead. As is expected, it's what we call white privilege. It is so very unfortunate. That's it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Garcia. Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, I just wanted to welcome everybody back and to the new year. But more important, I want everybody to be safe and healthy, because I know these are challenging times for everybody, including the board. But I think one of the areas that we, as I personally strongly feel, are the students. Not only our college students, but also our kids that are in the K-12 systems. I do want to encourage all parents and grandparents to really be vigilant in reference to watching over our kids in the K-12 system, because those are the kids they will finally and hopefully will be attending Pima Community College very soon. In the celebration that we had last year of the 50 years of Pima Community College, I strongly believe that it is an institution that should be reflective of the community. Unfortunately, tonight, I was nominated for chair, and because of how the makeup of the board is, I wasn't successful, but it would have been a true and historical accomplishment for a chair to be reflective, especially being a Native American, to be reflective of the community as well too, and part of the Hispanic population as well, the majority that we have here. But unfortunately, it wasn't successful, and I do wish the best for all of us. But more important, I think we all need to work together, because that's something that needs to be improved. There's always room for improvement. But I wish Ms. Ripley, I thought you'd be directing the show right now as a new chair, but unfortunately, it does not happen that way. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Ms. Ripley.
Great, thank you so much. First of all, welcome back, everyone. I do hope you all enjoyed a safe, happy, and well-deserved break over the last few weeks. And I assure you and promise you all this, that I will take and do take the position of chair extremely seriously. After observing the job that Mr. Klinko did, it's very time consuming. It's all consuming in many ways. And being retired, I have the privilege and the luxury of devoting a lot of time to this school, and it's why I took the position and why I ran for this position. And just to be clear, I am not Hispanic. I am half Japanese and a woman. And I think one of the things that I really loved coming in to this board, the board itself has reflected men, women, the LGBTQ community, the Hispanic community, as well as the Native American community. So I see this board as probably one of the most diverse boards, probably across the country. I mean, I would be interested in finding that out. But and it is a privilege. And with that said, the position of chair is in many ways a figurehead position, in that I've observed Mr. Klinko, the extremely amazingly organized leader that he is, really conduct these meetings and conduct all of the affairs of this school with one thing in mind, and that is that the board, according to all board guidelines across the country, policy, bylaws, the board has to act as a single unit. We have to come to agreement. If we don't agree, we've got to agree to disagree perhaps, but we have to present to the public a unified board. And with that said, civilized discussion, both behind closed doors as well as in public, is something that I really would like to promote in the future. And I think we've tried to do that as well in the last year that I've been on the board. So with that said, the board, the chair, it's not a dictatorship. So I'm just one member of the board that just pretty much runs the meetings and organizes the agendas. So with that said, I love the fact that this is an extremely diverse board, and I look forward to working with all of you in that position. And with that said, also, it's a lot of work. I've seen Damien do the work, a lot of behind the scenes studying and researching, as well as showing up to so many things that a lot of us didn't even realize he did. So again, making it a little bit, I'm going to end it here with, there have been a lot of heartaches and a lot of great triumphs with this school in the last year. I've only been here for 1 year, throughout the campuses. And I say heartache and triumphs, both personal, through all of us, we've lost people, and professional. I commend the athletes, the athletic teams and their successes, as well as all of our employees who worked over the break, both on campus, keeping the facilities and campuses safe, clean, and ready to go, as well as those faculty, admin, and staffers who worked from home, preparing countless hours of mounds of paperwork, curriculum, plans, and strategies to keep our options flexible and compatible to online, in-person, and hybrid teaching. And this is something that's still up in the air. We begin a new year with hope, optimism, and a fresh start. And we also must look forward to addressing many issues that I know the board will be working on, that loomed large for many institutions across the country, even before the pandemic began. And this includes enrollment, retention, student engagement, employment, employee welfare, digital access has become crucial, and IT infrastructure, as many of you know. And now these issues loom even larger, especially with this coming year. So thank you so much for a tremendous team effort from within the college as well as from the Pima Foundation in getting us through both surviving and thriving 2021. This new year will be challenging, so I'm ready to roll my sleeves up and get to it. Thank you.
Dr. Hay.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. I want to give my full-throated support to Commander Ripley and her amazing organizational and cross-the-aisle skills, her diplomatic skills bringing to bear on this board, and I have full confidence in her. Just a heads up to my fellow board members and the Chancellor, my #1 priority this year is to making sure we have adequate salaries for our faculty and staff. I think given how hard they have worked, how hard everybody has worked over the last 2 years during COVID, we have to make sure that they are compensated at the level that is commensurate with their efforts. And if we want excellence, we have to reward excellence. And so as we look at the budget, Dave, Dr. B, I hope we can really focus on how do we compensate our employees at the level that we expect, and given their extraordinary efforts. And so I'm excited for the new year, and let's get to work.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hay. And I just want to take a few minutes to sort of reflect on my time as chair of the board. And I want to first begin by just thanking everybody on this call, but everybody within the institution for their support. It's been a very trying and difficult, certainly 2 years with COVID. It was certainly not what I imagined board service would look like, but it has been really one of the great honors and privileges of my life to have served on this board in this role. I am so proud of the work that we have collectively done together. I look back at the last really 6 years that I've been on the board and 4 years serving as the chair, and it is really a transformational period of this institution. And with the leadership of Chancellor Lambert and his executive team and the commitment of the entire institution, top to bottom, to commit to becoming a premier institution, committing to student success, I think we're making transformational change in this community. You know, I'm incredibly proud to have been the very first openly LGBTQ+ member of the community to be elected to this board. I'm incredibly proud to have been the first member of the LGBTQ+ community to have served as the chair. You know, I once, a few times during my term, I've had the opportunity to read the vision and the mission at the beginning of a meeting, and I just want to do that again now because I think it really, again, sets such an extraordinary tone for what we're all doing here. I mean, each and every one of us, we come to these meetings, you know, it seems like there's so much disagreement, but at the end of the day, the reason we're here is because of what this vision and what this mission lays out. And so I want to take my time this evening to share this again. Because our vision as a college is to be a premier community college. Pima Community College will be a catalyst for personal transformation, economic growth, and cultural prosperity that enriches our diverse community. Mission is to empower every learner, every day, for every goal. As an open admissions community college within the diverse setting of Pima County, PCC provides comprehensive and flexible lifelong learning opportunities to promote learner success and to empower every learner every day for every goal. Every learner, we commit to meeting the diverse needs of every person who seeks to further themselves through education. Every day, we strive for excellence in teaching and support services to ensure that all of our learners experience a welcoming and supportive environment that enhances their education. And every goal, we align our programs and services with the meaningful careers, quality educational pathways, and equity-driven practices to empower learners to succeed in their college and career goals. And that's why we're here. At the end of the day, we are here in service of our community to use and catalyze education to transform lives. And I am so proud of the work that we are doing together. And it has really just been such a privilege and really such an honor. And I look forward to continuing service of this institution and higher education throughout the state. So thank you very much. Okay. And with that, we'll move on to Pima's mission moment. Chancellor Lambert.
Mr. Chair, it is my pleasure to introduce the mission moment. We are so excited that our Pima Online team have been just an outstanding group who have brought home some important recognition to the college. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael Amick to lead us through that recognition of our faculty, staff, and students. Michael?
Thank you. Greetings, Chairperson Klinko, board members, Chancellor, and everyone. I'm thankful to be with you this evening. The Instructional Technology Council recently revealed its 2021 Awards for Excellence in E-Learning. I'm so proud to share Pima Online's recognition in 3 award areas. Distinguished E-Learning Educator, Kimlisa Salazar Duchisela. Outstanding E-Course, Culinary 130, Savory Cuisine, created for Pima Online by Associate Instructional Designer Olga Chemakova. And Outstanding E-Learning Student Award to Webster Rose. ITC is a leader in advancing distance education, and ITC's mission is to provide exceptional leadership and professional development in higher education to its network of e-learning practitioners by advocating, collaborating, researching, and sharing exemplary innovative practices and potential in educational technologies. As noted by the ITC, the innovation and diligence exemplified by each award winner mark them as exemplary members of our community. The ITC is a subcouncil of the American Association of Community Colleges, and PCC has been a member for over 15 years. First, Kimlisa has been recognized as a distinguished e-learning educator due to her consistent, dedicated involvement in distance education throughout her career at Pima. In addition to having worked on grant-related projects focused on technological innovation and playing a significant role in the initiation and development of Pima Online, Kimlisa integrates innovative engaging techniques and technologies and meaningful renewable assignments into the courses she teaches and develops. Congratulations, Kimlisa, and I invite you to share any comments now.
Thank you so much, Chancellor and board members and Michael and everyone else and all my fellow faculty. I'm very honored by this and actually pretty surprised. And I just wanted to thank all of the amazing people that help me do what I do, especially my fellow department heads and fellow online instructors. And I see Tom is here. All of the people in the CLT, especially the team that worked with me on my classes. And Rob, I couldn't have done it without you. And I just want to thank everyone, and I hope we continue to move forward in online. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations, Kimlisa, for all of your service and your national recognition as an outstanding e-learning educator.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next, we have the award for Outstanding E-Course. Culinary 130, Savory Cuisine 1 is an engaging introduction to entry-level savory cuisine hot foods designed for students in the culinary program at Pima Community College. Yes, culinary is being taught online. The course makes heavy use of our digital media production lab to deliver weekly interactive cooking demonstrations modeled after cooking programs with Desert Vista Campus's Chef Mario. The team it takes to design an online course is extensive. It involves instructional designers, video producers, web designers, the learning management support team, the program director, and the dean, as well as the faculty. The award, ITC award, recognizes the instructional designer, who is Olga Chemakova. And in addition to the award, PCC is asked to do a presentation at the ITC conference so all can see and learn about this great work. Olga will be joined by Frankie Reynoso, the Pima Online web designer, and Kayla Shaw, the digital media producer for Pima Online, at the conference presentation. I now want to introduce you to Tom Tenney, the director for the Center for Learning Technology, who oversees all of the online course creations for Pima Online, for his comments. Tom.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Board. The Culinary 130 course, Savory Cuisine 1, is a course developed by Pima Online Center for Learning Technology as a fully online course as part of the culinary and hospitality program offerings. The course design team applied universal design principles throughout the development, focusing on ease of navigation for learners and accessible course materials such as assignment instructions, high quality video resources, readings, and supplemental learning content. The course was designed in a way that brings the kitchen home to the learner, providing a high level of engagement and interaction for learners through carefully selected educational technologies, effectively enabling learners to successfully demonstrate their culinary skills associated with acquired course activities. The visual design of the course provides learners with a visually engaging and immersive experience as well, reflective of the fine dining experience, where course materials are quote unquote served to students on marble plates atop top of a wooden cutting board. The Culinary 130's team members, the number one goal was to make sure that the course was as immersive and engaging as possible while maintaining the high quality standards and rigor of the culinary training in the face-to-face program that allows. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Tom. Congratulations to you, Olga, and the many team members involved. And I hope in the future that we could be invited to share with board members what our online courses look like and feel like for students, as it is currently 43% of PCC's enrollment. Finally, I'm honored to introduce you to Webster Rose. Webster is a Pima student who is currently pursuing his Health Information Technology Associate's degree and will be graduating in spring of 2022. He participates in the Pearson Accelerated Pathways program that allows him to attend PCC at no cost, as his employer pays for his tuition, books, and fees. Webster is also one of our out-of-state online students and lives in Florida. We're all so proud that the ITC is recognizing Webster as the outstanding e-learning student of the year, and he will join us for the recognition ceremony at the conference. Webster has an inspiring story of persistence, and I'm glad to introduce him to you now. Webster.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you, Chancellor, board members, and faculty. My name again is Webster Rose. I'm here in Tampa, Florida, originally from Jamaica. I graduated high school back in 2002, and since then I've been out of school, but decided to take a big step by focusing on my education, especially since my company provided the opportunity for me to attend at no cost. I started Pima Community College back in 2018, where I chose my degree in Health Information Technology, since it correlates with my career at a Humana Insurance Company. I can tell you I'm a very dynamic, ambitious, and motivated young man with a robust work ethic, which helped prepare me for success here at Pima Community College. In addition to my drive here at Pima, I must say that Pima has provided me with outstanding support throughout the entire 3 years. I remember when I started Pima Community College, my first contact was with college advisor Jennifer Madrid. She was professional, approachable, demonstrated skills of understanding, and provided reassurance and confirmation that I selected the right college. Jennifer took the time out to provide me with detailed information, which allowed me to be confident that I am ready to take on this degree program, as in hit the ground running and to be successful. Overall, I am very grateful for this opportunity to study at Pima Community College. With my experience, not only from my professors, also the director, Jackie Allen, who has been outstanding. There's easily accessible means through communication. And even for my unforeseen situation where I had COVID, I must say that my professors worked with me to ensure that I was successful in my class. I am very proud and honored to be selected for the ITC Award, and I'm very proud to tell everyone at Humana, even outside of my company, that I am the face of Pima Community College online student. Thank you.
That's awesome, Webster. Thank you so much, and congratulations. And I look forward to the award ceremony in February. It is exceptional. It is exceptional that Pima Online is being recognized in not one, but 3 areas of excellence in online education. And I would like everyone to understand that from my perspective, these awards are reflective of the overall processes and methods we use throughout Pima Online, and that all members of Pima Online are part of these accomplishments. I also want to share with the board the direct strategic influence the Chancellor has had on each one of these awards. As mentioned, Lee supported and helped implement the creation of Pima Online with Kim Lisa and former Community Campus President Lorraine Morales and many others. Second is an amazing innovative initiative that Lee requested to reskill and upskill employees to be instructional designers. Lee and Marcy Euler, the PCC Foundation president, secured funding from the Brown Foundation early in the pandemic to fund this opportunity. Tom Tenney and former Dean Jan Kempster worked to implement a year-long upskill program that I think we can safely say Olga has successfully participated in, as she is now being nationally recognized for that work. And finally, Webster is a student here at PCC because of Lee's vision and innovation. Lee brought Pearson reps to PCC to explore how we might participate in Pearson's online program with their business partners. I'm thankful that the ITC and e-learning community are acknowledging the hard work of our students, faculty, and staff, and I'm especially thankful for the support Lee gives to Pima Online. For closing comments, I want to introduce Morgan Phillips, the Vice Chancellor of Academic Excellence, as well as thank him for his oversight and continuous support to me directly and to Pima Online. Morgan?
Thank you, Michael. I want to offer my congratulations to Pima Online for this recognition. Thank you to those that made the extra effort that's required to fill out and submit the award nominations. Dr. Josie Milliken, Dr. Anthony Sovak, Reed Dixon, and Jackie Allen. And finally, thank you and congratulations to you, Vice President Michael Amick, for your expertise in leading Pima Online. Pima Online has a vision statement. Pima Online will be a nationally recognized leader in exemplary online learning experiences. These awards demonstrate that vision is being achieved. We need to clearly communicate that we can meet learner needs with online learning and continue to develop more needed programs. People are starting to recognize the quality of our online programs and services, and it's time for us to accelerate our work on marketing and building awareness. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, board.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor Phillips, and thank you, President Amick, and congratulations to all 3 of the highlighted winners. I really think it speaks volumes that the college was really ahead of the curve of the pandemic, implementing these innovations, which really just set the groundwork to be able to rapidly deploy this transformational thinking and approach to education. So a massive congratulations to everybody. The board is incredibly proud, and I think based on your offer to give us a short presentation on actually demonstrating some of the online classes, I think the board would really appreciate that. So I see Chair-elect Ripley nodding her head, so we'll plan to get that onto a future agenda so we can get a short presentation. I certainly would love to see how we are teaching virtual cooking and some of the other tools. So I really look forward to that at a future meeting. So thank you very much. Next up is our administrative reports. Our first is so Chancellor Lambert, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. It looks like our first is the annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal year and June 30th, 2021 with Dr. B.
So, Mr. Chair, we're so excited to be able to share with you just ongoing recognition of what Dr. Dave B. and his team has done to keep our financial house in order. I think what you're going to hear here just continues to support just the excellent quality of staff that we have at the college under his leadership. So, David?
Good evening, Chairperson Klinko, members of the board, Chancellor Lambert, colleagues, guests. It is my pleasure to present to the board tonight a an executive summary of the college's annual financial report, which was sent to the board separately by the Auditor General's office back in mid to late December. So tonight we're just going to spend a little bit of time going through this. This is really an executive summary. Encourage you to dig into the actual report. It's posted on our website. It's about 81 pages and has a wealth of information and detail way beyond what I'm going to talk about tonight. We will also be talking with our Finance and Audit Committee of the board about this, and that board also gets that group also gets a chance to talk to the Auditor General's office as well to see how the audit went. In summary, the results are actually quite favorable this year. I'm trying to make sure that I'm scrolling, and it is being a little bit difficult. There we go. As you know, the results that we're talking about are a snapshot in time as of June 30th of last year. And what happens is we finish up the year, we take a snapshot of the financial information, make a bunch of year-end adjustments, and then that information is reviewed by the Auditor General's office. They do testing on the transactions, testing on various pieces and components of our financial transactions, ensuring that we're following our own policies, procedures, that sort of thing, and that the transactions tie to what is indicated within our systems. That process takes months. And again, it concluded early in December, and then the report was issued in mid-December. As you know, the college had a number of challenges in this fiscal year, most importantly related to COVID. And as expected, the negative results that you'd see here are that our tuition revenue is down. In this case, it's down about $6.2 million. And then also noteworthy on this are other revenues, which are outside of expenditure limitations. So all of our good revenues were down. We talked with the board almost as soon as COVID started having an effect that this was likely to be the case. And unfortunately, enrollment's still down, and we're still having reductions in tuition as a result of that. Nevertheless, the results are actually still relatively strong, primarily because of support that we received from the federal government and also just judicious spending on the expenditure side, which we'll get into. Year over year, there was a reduction in total revenues of about 17 plus million dollars. But if you look at that second to bottom line there, a lot of the difference in total was related to the one-time capital appropriation we received from the state last year, and we didn't receive a similar appropriation this year or in in fiscal year 21. So year over year, the revenues were down a little bit, but not too much. Again, mostly because of the federal government providing us some support. On the expenditure side, again, we reduced expenses a little bit, sort of across the board, but some of it is in the operations and maintenance of plants. Some of that is timing in terms of there were bigger expenses in fiscal year 20, some of which was in response to the immediate response to COVID and doing some of the things that we needed to do up front to prepare and make our facilities, get our facilities where they needed to go. So overall, you were talking about a reduction of expenses year over year of about $7 million. So revenues down a tiny bit, expenses down a bit more than that. When we break it out, you can see that the big reduction in expenses was in the contractual services arena. I know that groups have pointed out that that has grown in the last couple of years, and we were pointing out that that was likely to be a temporary thing, both related to different expenses related to the construction and work that we're doing with our centers of excellence and capital type expenses that aren't capitalized. And then also some one-time expenses that we're hitting again as a result of COVID. And you see here that there was a pretty big reduction in those costs in the fiscal year 21. Overall, again, the increase in net position is a very favorable result, where our net position increased by just under $25 million. It's a little bit lower. It's about $10 million lower than the prior year, but is still quite healthy and results in our having good reserves on hand. And we have talked about that with the board and what our plans are to use those reserves. The net position information is more like what you look at. This is the long term, and we try not to talk about this more than sort of about once a year, because this is what does the college look like long term, longitudinally, overall. How does the overall financial picture look? And so you can see here that our total assets grew pretty significantly. Again, that's because of the net change in assets that we just talked about. There is a bit of an increase in terms of our cash and cash and equivalents. Those are the first two lines are what I talk about when I talk about our reserves that are available for using for future capital needs. And you see there was a bit of an increase there. There's a bit of a decrease in restricted cash and investments. That's because that's primarily the bond funds, and that's indicating that we're spending down those funds as our capital projects move forward. We're spending the money out of our bond funds, and that will continue to decline as we move through those projects. Our net pension liability went up. That's mostly a function of our public safety retirement system, and then more significantly, our Arizona retirement system and what our liabilities are related to our employees and their pension benefits. Those fluctuate somewhat during the year or across the years because it has to do with actuarial analyses that we are provided by the state on what the liabilities are going forward. I mentioned that in particular tonight because I'm going to be talking with the board in upcoming budget, probably in February. There is a Senate bill that's being proposed with the legislation that gives, that if passed, will give public agencies that participate in Arizona state retirement system an ability to pay down some of the unfunded liability that is out there. And I'll have more conversation with the board about that as we learn a little bit more about that. But it's an opportunity to essentially issue debt to pay down the unfunded liability, which will help in the long term. And then again, if this goes forward and it looks like an opportunity that we can take advantage of, we'll be talking about that with the board in upcoming budget conversations. But I want to put it on the radar. It's something that we learned about relatively recently, and it'll move relatively quickly, I think, with the legislature getting back in session this week. Sum total net position increased from $154 million to $179 million, again, indicating positive results. If you look at, and we'll talk more with the Finance Audit Committee about all of our financial ratios are actually looking as healthy as they've been in 10 years. That's due to judicious expenditure prioritization with expenditure limitation and really reducing where the college was in terms of its expenses and trying to align those as much as possible with realistic projections of revenues. So we're doing a good job from that standpoint. Overall, in summary, the Auditor General's report, and this is the key elements of the audit, which is that they provided us an unmodified opinion, which means that they agree that our financial statements are reliable, they are fairly presented, and they reflect reality in terms of what our financials are. That's why they do the testing. They do a lot of verification to make sure that what we're saying is accurate to what they find. What you want to hear in an audit report is that you have an unmodified opinion. It doesn't sound too sexy, but it is what you're looking for. And as I've mentioned already, there are strong financial results that are reflected in this. Again, with the caveat that we have to be attentive to our enrollment declines, the revenue declines as a result of that, and making sure that we have sustainable operational expenses versus revenues going forward. One last thing that I will add on top of, I'm going to put this up there and thank the group in financial services that works for months, again, closing out the books and then working with the Auditor General's office to go through the audit. They work tirelessly to make sure that our financials are aligned with the accounting standards and that they are fairly presented, that people can look at our financial reports and make good sense of them. That's reflected in our credit ratings and what the confidence is with our financials across the board. With that, I'll also add that there is some breaking news that happened in the last day. which is Fitch's, which is one of the rating agencies that we use for our revenue bonds, just came out today with an affirmation of our college's ratings. Affirmation means that they affirm that they're the same as what they were previously. So that's our issuer rating is a AA. Our revenue bonds specifically are an AA minus. Both of those are very strong credit ratings. And we'll provide that information from Fitch because they go through and break down some of the different things that lead to those ratings and the confidence that they have. They gave us a stable outlook. Our credit rating is very strong for our size institution, and we can, again, take great pride in that as well. So with that, I will stop with my presentation and ask if the board has any questions related to the financial statement.
Thank you very much, Dr. B. Are there any questions from the board? Dr. Hay.
Damien, I would just like to thank Dr. B for all of his hard work.
Dr. Hay, you have a chorus congratulating Dr. B. I would just echo that again. Thank you, Dr. B, and the entire team who's listed on the slide for the extraordinary work to make sure that that CAFR continually reflects the highest standards of accounting practices and gives the public and the board confidence in our financial position. And thank you for the update on the credit rating, because of course that affects our ability to issue bonds and do other large capital projects. So it's good to hear that we are affirmed to our existing credit rating. So thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
just real quick, I don't know if you mentioned this, Dave, but we're going to build into a future piece, because he made reference to the federal grants that we received. He'll break that out in a little more specificity as we go forward.
Okay.
So that way you know how we've used those dollars consistent with what we're required to do.
That sounds terrific. And hopefully it'll be reported to the Audit and Finance Committee as well. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. B.
Absolutely.
The next item is the PCC employee COVID-19 vaccination update with Dr. Bruce Moses, Vice Chancellor for Educational Services and Institutional Integrity. And before Dr. Moses presents, I just want to, acknowledge his extraordinary work for the college. As you may have read in the announcement, Dr. Moses has accepted the job as the president of Allen Community College, located in Eastern Kansas, and will be leaving us to accept that position on July 1st, 2022. And it has certainly been a tremendous privilege to have gotten to know Dr. Moses through the whole HLC accreditation process. He has always delivered his communications with extraordinary clarity that has made the job of the board much easier in helping to provide direction to the institution. So Dr. Moses, we will certainly miss you. You have really been just an outstanding asset to the community and to the college. And I just want to say thank you before you give your presentation this evening.
Here, here. Way to go, Bruce. Congratulations.
Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Meredith. Chairman of the board members, fellow board members, colleagues, and faculty and staff. Just want to give you a quick update about some of the work that's been going on. So there's actually two groups that are kind of working around the COVID-19. There's a pandemic advisory group, which really is doing a lot of monitoring and recommendations that go forth to the chancellor and then ultimately comes up to the board level. And there's also a vaccine steering committee, which I kind of oversee, but is basically chaired by David Parker, our director of enterprise risk management, and a group of other fine people of the college. I don't have all their names in front of me, who have done a lot of work in a short period of time to help us manage and navigate through this pandemic and this vaccine, kind of the vaccine status stages that ultimately came out of the executive order 14042. So I'm going to first start off by just giving you some numbers. So the vaccine status of employees of the college, and these numbers slightly changed with retirements and adjuncts that kind of roll in and roll off from fall semester to this spring semester. But right now we stand about with 1,689 fully vaccinated or have a reasonable accommodation employees, which is about 87.5% of our workforce here at Pima Community College. We have 29 people that are partially vaccinated, meaning they either have received one shot of the two doses that you can get either from Pfizer or Moderna. We have 26 folks that are still under review when it comes to accommodation. And we have 213 people who have yet to provide information regarding vaccination. So everyone's pretty much familiar with the executive order. Pima is a federal contractor. That's what basically PCC falls under, that executive order as being a federal contractor. The planning committees have been working under originally under the deadline of January 4th. We all know that there has been stays in federal court, and PCC has observed those and has paused any type of enforcement around the vaccine mandate that, for January 4th. So that right now that's in a pause stage, and we're just kind of in a holding pattern as the court's appeals and scheduling orders, and briefings are taken in about 2 weeks, based on the information I received. A decision may or may not come quickly, as we know. And the other thing is that we do not fall under the OSHA emergency temporary standard requirement. So that won't apply to us here in Arizona. Omicron is a variant that's quickly spreading in the community. The college is requiring universal masking on campus and in the offices. The Synexus units provide us with additional protection. We believe that these measures are protective for employees and students, and we are watching what's also going on in the community on an ongoing basis. We've had little experience with, Omicron variant at this time. We're learning more day by day, week by week. Those who are vaccinated are less likely to contract the virus and less likely to have more severe symptoms. However, we are also seeing more children needing hospitalization, and it's still proving challenging for unvaccinated people, particularly the elderly. We are providing masks for all employees and for students who do not have them. And we have KN95 masks, both in stock and on order for those in higher protection areas where the education methods require it, such as in some of our health profession programs and dental programs, for example. The college has arranged for free rapid tests and has a cadre of employees who can conduct these tests for asymptomatic employees or students. We are not able to test symptomatic individuals, but community officers are available for free. So that's pretty much where we stand today. Again, we're monitoring things on an ongoing basis. This group, the vaccine steering group, as well as the pandemic advisory group, and we'll be happy to bring you updates in the future. Are there any questions from the board, anyone?
Does the board have any questions? Okay, I would also just say, again, the fact that the college is offering testing services, I think that's significant. There is a shortage of tests and at-home tests. I was at my pharmacy today and they were completely out of them. And I've read that there are shortages across the city. So the fact that we make that available, I think, is so important. And I'm really glad to hear that we continue to offer that to our employees. So thank you very much, Bruce, again, for all of your work. And look forward to continuing to work with you, but we're going to miss you. So thanks.
Thank you, Damon. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next, we have our reports by representatives to the board. We have 3 reports this evening. We're going to start with our student report by Colin Bryant. Mr. Bryant.
Can everybody hear me?
We can. If you could turn your camera on.
All right. Okay. Good evening, Chairperson Klinko, Chancellor Lambert, members of the board, faculty, guests, and fellow students. I hope everybody had a relaxing winter break and is now ready to get into this new year and semester at Pima. This month, the All College Council is starting their annual project. We are all sure that the pandemic has certainly had an effect on the enrollment and retention here at PCC. This project, however, will look at other factors that have contributed to this decline in enrollment, and retention, such as the resources and support systems that are available to students here at Pima. More big news for the All College Council. This was not my original report, by the way, but I've just received word that the ACC representatives from Student Senate may be headed to Washington, D.C. in early February to attend and participate in a national congressional summit, given COVID restrictions allow this event to be in person. This is an exciting opportunity for our young leaders to advocate for the funding and support for programs that benefit our students. In other news, the student has decided on their project for this year as well. We have decided to create some new murals on a couple of our campuses. We hope that these murals can bring new life and color to campus. These murals are expected to be up in the late spring, and I hope to keep everybody updated on their progress. That's all I have to report this evening. Listening to this meeting so far, though, it sounds we're off to a good start. Thank you all for your time, and here is to a good 2022.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bryant. Next, we have our faculty report with Denise Riley.
Happy New Year, Chairperson Klinko, Chancellor Lambert, members of the board, colleagues, and guests. I'm really enjoying this meeting. I'll echo what others have said. It's very positive. So I appreciate that 2022 is starting with starting really well with a lot of grateful words and a lot of thanks. So this is an exciting time of year for faculty as classes start tomorrow for spring 2022, and faculty are in full swing, getting ready to go, making last minute changes to classes. So we had many meetings back in November and December, as evidenced by the 9-page report I submitted. It's a compilation of several meetings that we had with much information. But what I want to kind of highlight right now is that we had all faculty day on Tuesday of this week. And so every spring semester, faculty come back and get straight to work on classes. But we had some great welcome messages from Chancellor Lambert and Provost Drs. Duran Cerda, with a strong message and focus of trust. And that was kind of what was conveyed to all of us. And I think that's a great message. And we had some great presentations by Faculty Senate President Rita Lennon, as well as PCCA President Michaela Hayes. And both of them kind of discussed the differing roles that PCCA and Faculty Senate have, especially also bringing up AERC as well, the All Employee Representative Council, and kind of how all of them are going to focus more together on collaboration to support faculty. And so I thought that was really neat. And then, of course, we had our regular Faculty Senate meeting. And I just wanted to share with you all that, you know, we had such a positive day, and we're really starting out with a positive year, and I can see that the board is as well. So I'm just really, really thankful for all your hard work. So focusing on this year and kind of our goals, and I know that Meredith had mentioned her goals of the year, and everybody else had kind of mentioned some goals. I wanted to let you all know that faculty surveyed. So we had a faculty survey with great participation in December. And what came out of that survey were 3 main areas that we'd like to focus on for the rest of this semester. And so we've agreed as Faculty Senate officers that this is the focus based on faculty results. The first is D2l and Technology. And when we think about technology, we're talking about institutional processes, learning and improvement. And obviously we heard some great words from Pima Online tonight. So hopefully to continue to learn more about D2l and all that it can do for us. The second was in terms of faculty leadership. And that would be related to having a voice. And I think the focus of trust is going to be helpful, and collaborations with executive leadership and administrations. So kind of feeling like the faculty are part of the mix and part of the decision making. And then the third goal is policy and procedures, and just kind of updating within the college, within the faculty group, what these policies and procedures look like. So those would be our 3 goals for the faculty senators and faculty in order to support them throughout the year. And I did want to mention just a quick tidbit about another poll that was given, or the same poll, but actually just a little bit more detailed information that we asked in December. And it turns out 3 things. We were talking about how often we'd like folks and administration to attend different meetings and to kind of be present, but also having a chance for faculty to collaborate. And one of them was, we really appreciated Chancellor Lambert came into our Faculty Senate meeting in December, and that was actually a great meeting. And so we polled members, and they would like faculty in general twice a semester for the Chancellor to join us in those meetings. So that was kind of a result from the survey. And then the second was to have Dr. David B., which I know he's presented at a couple different groups, to come in March to Faculty Senate and as needed. So just when talking about the budget for the future year. And then the third one really applies to this group here. We'd love to invite and ask the governing board members to attend a Faculty Senate meeting. And so we'd really, I know that many of you had mentioned in the previous governing board meeting, ways to kind of incorporate and go across the college more. And we think a Faculty Senate meeting would be great. And so the invitation's out there, and we'd like to continue to collaborate with administration, with the board. And I just want to say thank you. This has been one of the better meetings I've ever been to. So let's keep it up. Any questions?
Nope. Thank you very much, Ms. Riley. We appreciate it. Next, we have our staff report with Dorothy Netherland. Ms. Netherland, you are up.
Hello, good evening, Chairperson, Chancellor, board members, faculty, staff, and guests. And as Amy said, it's been a very positive meeting. I really enjoyed seeing the enthusiasm and everyone being happy and congratulating once, for the achievements for online learning, the students. Bruce Moses, I will miss seeing you. And congratulations to the new the new chair, I should say, Ms. Ripley. And congratulations to you, Mr. Klinko, for now moving on to a supporting role for her. The update that I have for you is from our meeting in December. And the staff council is more or less still worried about what we're all worried about, which is COVID-19. And since December, a lot of information has changed, and that has been talked about as well at the meeting that we had this past Friday. We talked about what the class and comp study as well, and Dr. B was amazing. He always fills us in on everything that's happening and how things are moving along. And that was fantastic. So I think a lot of our guests that were at that meeting were put at ease. And we welcomed new members. So we have Raphael Gill from the IT department, Wendy Schroeder-Black from the Academic Excellence, Stephen Ebel from Education Services and Institutional Integrity, James Johnson from Facilities, and Erica Elias from the Student Experience and Workforce Development. Thank you guys very much. We really appreciate all your hard work. And that is all.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the report. Next, we have our Chancellor's report. Chancellor Lambert, you have 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, and Happy New Year's to everybody. We have a lot of exciting things that happened as we were coming to the end of last year, and we'll progress through the balance of this year. I want to say first and foremost, thank you to the faculty and the staff, the administration, and the board for your resilience. This has been a tough 21, 22, going on 23 months for all of us. And I can't think of a better group of individuals to have gone through this period of time with than each and every one of you. And Pima has really risen to the occasion. And as noted by Denise, when I came, I think it was December when I came, I talked about how the work we had done pre-pandemic was so critical to how we were able to navigate through the pandemic. And I think it serves as a good barometer for us going forward as well. So Dolores, Nina, Kate, Edgar, and myself, we had a chance to, Dolores and I are on the board of the Leadership Academy. And so we attended their conference in November, and they had Stephen Covey come and speak to us on the speed of trust. And so many of the points that he made really resonated with all of us. So we're going to put increased effort and focus around trust going through the balance of this academic year. And really, truth be told, it's something we have to constantly pay attention to and be vigilant about. Mr. Covey talks about the 13 trust behaviors. And so we've already started to have the conversation with the administrators about those 13 trust behaviors. And we hope to be able to roll that out to the entire college as we go forward. Some of my takeaways during this piece is, trust begins with each of us individually. And then are we willing to extend trust to others? So it's a two-way street, not a one-way street, was an important message that I took away. But also the importance in one of the 13 values is, talking straight, meaning be honest with folks, even if it's not always popular to be honest, but be honest. But also it's how you do it, right? You do it with respect and so forth. So look forward to that focus. Also, the provost talks a lot about kindness and gratitude. So you'll hear more of that as we go forward. I want to make sure that every administrator is expressing kindness and gratitude. And I hope the faculty would be willing to personally invite each administrator to their classrooms. It's different to say, oh, come visit my classroom. It's another thing to say, hey, Tom, I want to invite you personally to come to my classroom. You see the difference in that, right? And so please do that. I know that each of the administrators would love to come into the classroom and see firsthand the great work that you do. Also, I just want to say, again, just acknowledge Kim Lisa. I don't think folks understand how visionary Kim Lisa is at times, because when I was first hired, she came to me not too long after I was hired and said, Lee, we need to put more of a strategic focus around creating what ultimately became Pima Online. And so I just want to acknowledge just her vision and ultimately bringing Michael Amick on board to make that a reality. So thank you, Kim Lisa, thank you, Michael, and the entire Pima Online team for what you've done. You've really shown that focus on the technology gap, what we can do when we put that type of attention and focus to benefit ultimately our students. We had the privilege, well, I'll come back to this point, but as we closed out last year, I got contacted by Harvard about a potential involvement at Pima Community College. And so I'm pleased to report that Pima will be, I believe it's going to be 5 community colleges. So we're going to be one of 5 community colleges to be part of the Harvard Workforce Project. I'm not sure if that's exactly how they title it, but because we're seen now as an innovative leader in the workforce economic development space across the country. We did not apply for this. They came to us and said, you are seen and recognized as one of those leaders. And we want to work with you and these other colleges to create case studies that puts the community colleges at the center of what needs to happen in this country and the transformation of the workforce. And so we should all be proud of the work we've all done over these last 9 years to really position Pima to be that premier institution. So I want to thank everybody that's involved. Ian will be our point of contact as we go forward in this project. And we're looking forward to so many positive things that continue to reflect on the greatness of and positive nature of Pima Community College. Let me close with this piece. So yesterday, Dolores, David, Morgan, and myself went up to visit ASU Polytechnic. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with what ASU's been doing in that space, but one of the innovative things they've done is they've created a 4+1 degree, meaning that you can complete your master's degree in 5 years instead of 6 years or beyond. And then as part of that conversation, we may have the opportunity to partner with ASU to do something along a similar line. So we will be exploring this as part of an overall project to explore whether Pima should offer applied baccalaureate degrees. Not saying we will, I'm saying we're going to explore that option and then start to look at models that are out there. And one potential model is what's happening with ASU and that 4+1 model that allows you to get that master's degree in that 5-year period of time. So we're very excited about that. So I'll close with this. Bruce, congratulations to you. I'm proud of you. And I think you're going to hear that from all of us as we move through the remaining time you have with us. We've been very fortunate that you've been part of the team, and we'll look forward to working with you in your new capacity when you go to Allen Community College in the state of Kansas.
Thank you, Chancellor. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year's, and thank you, Chancellor Lambert. And I just, thank you for sharing the report. I mean, it's always wonderful to hear these highlights, but the component about the Harvard Workforce Project, I mean, how extraordinary that we are being asked to participate at this type of level to help drive this national and really what will be an international conversation on workforce and the role that community colleges take. And it really is a tremendous recognition of the work that you and Ian Rourke and Dr. DeRay and the full team is really doing. It's really profound. And I really want to say, if we're going to go down this baccalaureate path, the innovative ideas that you're already bringing forward, like this 4+1 program, where we could really make master's degrees more accessible to our community, is really opens the door for additional transformation to students in Southern Arizona. And I am excited to hear what comes of these conversations and what the plan, what's developed as we move forward. I think, if we're going to do this, to be able to do it in innovative ways really can be very powerful. So
if I can add to that, Chairman Klinko, Chancellor, I hope as the conversation proceeds with that program and the opportunity avails itself, I think we need to really highlight that in our communications effort, not just statewide, but nationally, certainly to all of our constituents, but nationally about the leadership of Pima in that space.
Well, can I say one last thing? When we had the meeting with the Harvard team, so David Doré, Ian Rourke, and myself were in that conversation. And I just want to thank David for his leadership as well, because oftentimes, we talk about Ian, we talk about Bruce, we talk about, Michael, but sometimes we forget that David and Dolores are the two leaders of our academic and workforce sides of the college. And so sometimes they can be easily skipped, and they're not to be skipped. So I want them to know that it's under their leadership that all these pieces really come together. And so, and so many other people, but I just want to call them out expressly.
Thank you
Thank you
for clarifying, and thank you for your hard work.
I think Kat has a comment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, just really quickly, just so it doesn't go over everyone's head during Lee's conversation about this. We were one of 5 colleges across the country to be chosen for this. And I just had to repeat that in my head, because it is quite extraordinary that they came to us. We didn't seek this out. And it's the forefront of the conversation right now is exactly what Pima community colleges across the country are about. It's the bread and butter, which is workforce development. So this isn't just a nice, cool thing that we got chosen to do. This is really addressing the most important thing right now, which is getting people back into the workforce and addressing the economy during this pandemic. So again, I think this is something to celebrate. Thank you.
So can I just add, so Chair-elect Ripley, thank you for that. And I also want to just say, because of all of this work, that's why Hillman came to us to want to make that $5 million investment. And just want to thank Marcy and her leadership. You're seeing our foundation growing and blossoming alongside of the college as we really have turned the institution around. So we just have, again, just so much to be proud of, but so much more work to do. So we're never satisfied with where we're at, but we need to take a moment to reflect and appreciate what we have accomplished.
Thank you, Chancellor Lambert. Next is our information items. They are posted for the board and the public, and they are posted on our board docs, and anyone can take a look. Next is our consent agenda, which is posted online. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the consent agenda approval signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Next is item 8, our action items. Our first is the Governing Board Enrollment and External Outreach Advisory Committee. Mr. Sylvan, if you could please read the recommendation.
The Chancellor recommends that the Governing Board establish an Enrollment and External Outreach Advisory Committee by approving the proposed committee charter, which is attached to the board materials.
Do I have a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Ripley, moved by Ms. Garcia. Discussion. Chancellor Lambert, do you want to give us just a very, very brief overview of this?
Yes. So first of all, I want to thank the board for really expressing an interest in creating this committee. I think it's much needed, especially now with the Sandsdemic and just the challenges we're going to face, not only as a community here in Southern Arizona, but throughout the state and the country. And to have more attention and focus on enrollment and external outreach is going to be critical. Want to also acknowledge Phil Burdick and for his leadership in pulling all the pieces together. So Phil's here to answer any technical questions you might have about pulling this together.
Does the board have any questions? No. Okay. I think we know what this is about, and we've been asking for it. So without further ado, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Next is item 8.2, honorary degrees. Jeff Henderson. Mr. Sylvan, could you read this recommendation?
The Chancellor recommends that the Governing Board approve the award of an honorary degree to the following individual, Jeff Henderson.
Is there a motion to adopt the recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Garcia. Discussion. Chancellor Lambert, do you want to give us a brief presentation or discussion on this?
Yeah, so let me provide a little background, and then I'm not sure who, Dolores, you would want to speak on this to just kind of provide a little more sketch of it. So as you all know, I'm on the National Association Workforce Board. So they had their annual conference earlier last year. So David, Ian, and myself were at them. And the keynote speaker was Chef Jeff, and he has an incredible life story, and he's a celebrity chef, and is often on the Food Network and a number of things. Well, the way the conference was set up, we couldn't approach him right afterwards, so we're at dinner, and guess who's sitting in the same restaurant with us? Chef Jeff. So I go up and I start talking with him, and I said to him, I'd love for you to come and visit us at Pima Community College. So I came back, shared this with the team, turned it over to Jules Mado, and now here we are. We're on the precipice of bringing Chef Jeff to Pima Community College to do a very special set of events later in the spring. But one aspect of that is to recognize Chef Jeff and his outstanding, extraordinary life and career with an honorary degree from Pima Community College. And I don't know, Dolores, do you want to say a few pieces?
I can expand on that. Thank you,
Okay.
Chancellor. Good evening, Chairperson Klinko, members of the board, Chancellor Lambert, faculty, staff, and students. It's my pleasure to answer any questions you may have, but this is an extraordinary opportunity for the college to be welcoming Chef Jeff Henderson to come. And I think it's in April that Jules Mado, who's the academic director of hospitality leadership under Dean Jim Craig, bringing him to share his talents and really get involved with the community, especially with our students, and then also those in prison, currently in the prisons, because that was his background, and he wants to influence, positively impact our community. And we're really privileged that he wants to be here in Tucson with us. So we would like to offer him this honorary degree. And he's also interested in teaching as an adjunct faculty member with the college beyond his visit at Pima. So I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Are there any questions from the board? No. Okay. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Is anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. And the honorary degree is conferred upon Jeff Henderson. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Item 8.3 is the possible modification of decision to implement the federal contractor COVID-19 vaccination mandate. And based on our conversation in our executive session, I would move that we table this item to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
So moved. Oops, second. Sorry.
Seconded. Okay, second. I'm seconded by Mr. Gonzalez, I think. Did I hear your voice? I heard everybody at once.
It was me.
Oh, it was you, Dr. Hay. Okay, I'm sorry. It was all the voices at once. Okay, so is there any discussion on the item? Concerned about tabling it? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of tabling the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Next, we have item 8.4, the engagement of the Association of Governing Boards, AGB, to assist the governing board to prepare for the upcoming Higher Learning Commission HLC focused visit. We have 10 minutes for this item. If we could start with Mr. Sylvan reading the recommendation, and then we'll take the motion and then the discussion. Mr. Sylvan.
Chancellor recommends that the governing board authorize the chancellor or designee to retain consulting services through the Association of Governing Boards to assist the board with preparation for the Higher Learning Commission focused visit scheduled for 2022.
Is there a motion to adopt the recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Chancellor Lambert, do you want to give us an overview? And then it looks like there might be some questions.
Yes, so just to put things into context, as your chancellor, it's always my belief that it's my responsibility to help prepare the board for any time our accreditor is going to be coming in to do a visit with the college. So when we were first on probation, we brought in a team to work with that board at that time to prepare them for the visit. We have done that subsequently. So this is just a long-standing practice to prepare the board for the upcoming visit. The difference this time is this visit is about the board. And so I think it's even more critical than even in the prior times that the board have an independent entity come in who is very skilled and experienced working with boards to help them prepare you for what you may be asked or faced with during this visit. Obviously, it's not just going to be each of you who will be part of that process, but there'll be others, but you will be the key focus of this visit. So if there's any technical questions, I'll have either Bruce or Jeff chime in, but I just want to give you that context of this is so important that we don't send you in there without properly being prepared.
Are there any questions, Ms. Garcia? Looks like you have a
Okay.
question.
Well, I hope nobody's offended by what I have to ask, but these are some concerns that I have. Number one is that, Chancellor, I was not aware that in the past that you prepared the board for the HLC visit. Okay, now, in my view, I personally do not need preparation for the HLC visit. I mean, what are they going to tell? I mean, what are they going to tell us? I mean, what kind of training do we need? Because it isn't about training, because in my view, I will respond spontaneously and truthfully to the HLC. I don't want to be advised about what I should have to tell them. Then the primary concern that I have Chancellor, is that we were not asked as an entire board, and this has been my issue all along. Decisions are made, recommendations are made, and then they come to a vote, and the entire board has not been previewed or had any opportunity to request, to evaluate, to select, whatever, to give us the training. This is not, I'm sorry, Chancellor, this is not your responsibility. It is the board. It appears to me anyway, you know, and I don't know, it's like, do we work for you? This is how I take it. Okay, and then the other part is that, has the Association of Governing Boards been provided with the HLC complaint? Has the Chancellor or any member of the board discussed the situation surrounding the HLC complaint with the Association of Governing Boards? Will the board be provided with names of individuals who will be consulting at this meeting? And what is the cost of the AGB consulting? If the purpose of the meeting with the AGB is to advise board members on the HLC visit, we are aware that the team will arrive on March 29th. Secondly, if other members need assistance to prepare for the HLC, they are welcome to do so. I need no preparation for the HLC visit. So again, and it has been my contention all along, I don't have a problem with any of the board members. You know, my complaint or dissatisfaction or mistrust has always been based on how this board runs. Yes, there is a problem with the board because we do not work as a board. Right now, just presently with the voting that just appeared, we are a 3-2. It's a majority all the time, not taking anybody into consideration. You know, I mean, I'm tired of being pushed down. Thank you.
Dr. Hay, but before Dr. Hay speaks, I'm actually going to have a couple responses. So first and foremost, this is a democracy. This is an elected body.
Well, I know.
This is an elected body. So it is a democracy, and we're going to have votes, and there are going to be people who vote yes, and there are people who are going to vote no, and the majority is what will carry this institution forward. It's not about suppressing a vote. It is about simply voting. You may not agree with the outcome of the vote, but it is about actually a democratic process that takes place in public where everyone can see, and there are only 5 people elected to this board. You know, we have a very narrow margin, and that is just the composition of our current board. The Higher Learning Commission has made it very clear that this board, it needs to be working very hard to self-manage itself. You're correct, Chancellor Lambert cannot manage us, but part of the HLC's criteria is to follow our policies and our procedures that we've established. We have a record of not doing that, which is a concern. The point of bringing the AGB in, which we discussed collectively about becoming a member and bringing someone in from the AGB, and we agreed, was to help guide this board in continuing to make and educate ourselves so we don't continue to break policies that then undermine our accreditation standards. That's absolutely what this is about. And when they talk about preparing, when Chancellor Lambert talks about preparing us, it's about self-auditing ourselves and getting a better understanding of what we need to do as a board so that we can say to the Higher Learning Commission, you know what, we're aware that we may or may not be doing the perfect job, but we are working to improve it. The hubris with which you are stating that you don't need additional training or support is going to cause the institution to be put on sanction. Like I mean, I'm not perfect by any means. I need continual support and professional development and education. So I know I'm doing the very best job for the institution because it's a constant state of continual improvement. And to just say, throw your hands up and say, I don't want to participate in any sort of professional development. I mean, that's what I heard. So, you know, it's a concern because I think we need a professional organization. We've tried to bring in the National Association of Community College Trustees, and it didn't seem to make much of a difference. We brought in the Arizona Association of Community College Trustee president or CEO, that didn't seem to make much of a difference. This is yet another professional organization that we're bringing in as part of a demonstration that we as a board are committed to continual improvement.
Damien, but you made that choice. Maybe perhaps you and the chancellor, the entire board did not participate. And I'll leave it at that.
Ms. Garcia, we collectively discussed hiring AGB. And now this is coming forward, and we have a focused visit in 2.5 months. I mean, we don't have a lot of time, so we really need support. And and the going through a massive selection process to interview 20 different candidates and spend months doing it, I don't see how that's going to be productive. What we need to do is get somebody here as quickly as possible to help support our board in making better decisions. And Dr. Hay, I believe you had a comment.
Thank you, Chairman Klinko. Just for our audience and for others on this call, I want to be very, very clear on this. The AGB is not just another association, another membership. The AGB has been engaged for 100 years in helping to empower college, university, and foundation boards and board members to govern with knowledge and confidence, providing guidance and thought leadership through expert services and resources. They are the experts in how governing boards for higher education are supposed to conduct themselves. Obviously, as a board, we have members in this board who do not understand that. And this is not a fly-by-night organization. This is the #1 organization in the United States for offering services to governing boards about how best practices, about how best to proceed. It's not just queuing us up for HLC. It's about bringing us together as a board and reminding us what our fiduciary responsibilities are to follow board policies and board governance. And obviously, as a board, there's a couple of us on this board who have refused to do that. The AGB is absolutely one of the final authorities on how board members should govern themselves. And I have been the only one on this board who has years of experience in higher education administration, and the AGB is exactly who we need to bring in to help us work with these issues. And I applaud them, and I look forward to hearing from them and learning from them, because every day of my life, I try to experience and progress and get better. And if I can bring in the AGB to help this board be better and serve our students and serve our constituents and serve this state and serve this county, then by golly, I think we should do it. And AGB is exactly who we should do. We're not going to go through 20 different candidates. The AGB is the only one we should be listening to, because they have the experience, 100 years of experience in how governing boards work. So there's absolutely no question in my mind that the AGB is the right authority to help us navigate through these issues and prepare to be a better board in the future, not just this quibbly squabbly stuff, but let's be a better board. Let's work together. Mr. Gonzalez, you said in your comments, let's work together. Well, okay, let's work together. This is exactly what we should do. We don't make up board governance policies. We don't make up and invent how boards should respond. This is exactly what we should be doing is if our board collectively, all 5 of us, don't understand how boards should behave, then we need to bring somebody in to help us remind us what good board behavior is. And the AGB is exactly who we should bring in. I'm sorry for my passion on this, but by golly, I believe in this college. I believe in what we're doing. I believe in our mission, and I refuse to let anybody undermine what Chancellor Lambert is trying to do and what we're trying to do as a college and for this community. I'm sorry for my enthusiasm on my response.
Thank you, Dr. Hay. Mr. Gonzalez.
And you're correct, Ms. Hayes. It refers to working together. But more important, I want to emphasize that each of us has a voice. Allow us the voice. There's a lot of times that we don't have that voice. We come to hear it after the fact. As I mentioned earlier, it's kind of disappointing. I was expecting the new chair to be directing this meeting tonight, but little things happen along the road. I don't know if it's proper or improper, but that was done. As Ms. Garcia mentioned, it's never been done before since I've been here, but it happened today. I was hoping to, in fact, I'm glad Ms. Ripley was going to be the chair and directing and heading this meeting tonight, but it didn't happen that way. But like I said before, there's always room for improvement, and we all have to work together. But I think one of the setbacks, and and I said it before, and I will continue to say it, it's kind of difficult to be on the video. I'd rather have be with you guys face to face. I know the next meeting now, maybe we can, I know that's once we're just planned for virtual, but let's meet face to face. The boardroom is big enough for each of us. But I think that's what we need to look at. Because to me, I have a lot of difficulties in reference to what we have here. It's a disconnect. There's no, to me, it's a very, very emotional, but more important, it's a physical disconnect in reference to what we want to share, what we'd like to do. And like I mentioned, there's a lot of stuff that, if you heard, we support the majority of the stuff, but when stuff like this come along and we don't have the opportunity or the voice before, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. That's why, I mean, there's always room for improvement, and we need to work together. Thank you.
Ms. Ripley.
Yes, thanks everybody for their comments, and don't ever apologize for being passionate, Dr. Hay. I think that I think the reason for having the AGB or any outside entity come in is, from what I've seen in my careers in the military, at Raytheon, and in higher education, is communications. And when there's a communication breakdown, everything from dysfunctionality to wars being started and waged overseas can happen. So it really boils down to communication. The AGB is, as far as I know, is not coming here to tell us what to say or do or think. They're here to facilitate a conversation and allow us to communicate, because clearly there is a little bit of a communication breakdown. I have been here for a year, and I've not been blindsided by decisions or votes, because we get the materials a week before the meetings, and you go through the materials. If there's a beef with anything on that board packet a week before these board meetings, I will either call Damien, or I'll call the Chancellor or Jeff Sylvan, and I'll ask them, or I'll protest if I don't think something should or should be on the board agenda. So I mean, I feel sorry and sad that you feel like you've been blindsided, but I've always been prepared for the meetings and knew what was coming. And I think that it's all about communication. So everything from, like I said, misunderstanding to wars being waged boils down to a lack of, or improper or bad communication. So I welcome the AGB to just help us to communicate together as a board. Again, I've taken online courses all year. One of them was from the AGB on how to become a better board member. And I'm continuously trying to research and read books on how do I become a better board member. And every single one of them say, you have to act as a unit. And you might not always agree, but your elected officials and the forefront of our brains has to be, what is the greater good of this college? Not any kind of inter-board dislikes or disagreements, and especially nothing as petty as, what has been going on. I think much more than that is, what is the greater good of the school? And sometimes you're not going to get, I've disagreed with every single board member here. And at the end of the day, they've convinced me, okay, let's go that way. And you agree to go that way. But publicly slandering and discrediting each other is not only bad for us as a board, it's going to damage the school. So anything we could do to be constructive, not destructive, I will vote for. And if AGB can help us, and if HLC can help us, we need to communicate and listen. And that's all I wanted to add to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair-elect Ripley. Are there any other comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Okay, the motion carries 3-2 with Board Member Garcia and Gonzalez dissenting. Item 9 is a request for future agenda items. Okay, and with that, the meeting is adjourned. The next regular meeting will be February, actually, is it, well, February 2nd, I think is how it's scheduled, but are we looking at a different date? Okay, February 2nd as of now, and we will sort that out. Okay, thank you all very much. Good night.